Wow. Welcome back to Saudi Arabia, Microsoft Excel Power Platform Meetup. And this is One Place Infinite Solution. I'm your friend, your host, your dost for today, Faraz Sheikh. Dost means in Hindi means it's friend. And today we are here to connect, share, and learn. And as you know, that this year again I'm running a meetup, Women in Tech, and this is one of my close friend, Pragati Jain, who is here today on the other side of the hot seat over there, who is going to present to us. So just let me quickly start. And if you don't know me, that I'm a founder of excelexciting.com. I'm the one who runs this meetup, and I'm a Microsoft MVP, and love to write blogs, and my mission is to give the community the easiest solution with all of my friends, and my passion is to share this knowledge and equally gain. So as I mentioned, my friend today who is here, Pragati Jain, she's going to talk about Microsoft Fabric. There's a lot of buzz going on about Fabric. What is Fabric, Pragati? We are really excited to know, more in detail about that. So she's going to take that stage and let us know what are the infinite possibilities we can do with that Fabric. Just to give you a heads up that these are the upcoming events. We are planning to have it in July and September. You can mark your calendar. We have Shrishti Kumar who's going to join from India, and she's going to talk about productivity purposes in Excel, and Laura who will be joining from Austria, talking about Excel and Charted. So this is really great events coming up from women in tech contributing to this community. It's really my pleasure to have such wonderful women and coming and speaking on my meetup. So, if you would like to speak and show your superhero skills, your Avengers skills, I would say, you can always, write back to me on excelexciting.com and at the rate outlook.com, and you can definitely, we can arrange something just to make sure that you get the best experience. If you have anything questions, you can just write q and you can mention your questions so I can take it up with Pragati in the chat, or you can just straight away, who are on the Zoom, they can straight away take it on the chat, and they can mention it with the queue. And if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand. And just to make a note that this session has been getting live streamed and getting recorded on YouTube, and you can always find it on YouTube/Excel Exciting channel. So let me welcome again my friend Pragati. And Pragati, the stage is yours. And yeah, it's been long time, Pragati. So a lot of things
Yeah.
happened, a lot of change happened. Really, we missed you at the session, and Pragati today specially removed the time for us. I know she had a really busy schedule, but she made it possible just for Saudi Arabia meetup to come and speak for us. Pragati, I'll leave the floor for you, and you can please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Faraz. It has been always a pleasure coming to your user group and speaking. I'm not sure in past how many times I have spoke to your user group. I mean, there have been few user groups where I have actually spoken multiple times because I just love going there and just love the host, co-host there. So yeah, it's amazing. And yeah, first of all, thank you everyone for coming to my session today and taking out time to learn something about Fabric. So I'll just share my screen and then let's crack on, I guess. So for us, I'll be sharing my screen, and then if you can just give me a heads up
Yeah, sure. You can share your
um,
screen.
that you can see it. Yes, yeah, that screen should be fine. Okay, so unfortunately, I don't have an additional screen today, so I am just not going to be seeing what's really happening in the chat window. So you really need to tell me
I will
what's
take
really
care of
going
that,
on there.
Pragati.
Okay, how do I minimize this zoom in? Um, why this comes up? Oh, okay, there's a minimize button. Something can go with. Okay, so oh, it went to the last slide. I'm not sure why. Okay, can you see my screen, Faraz? If you can
Ye-
just give me a heads
Yes,
up.
yes, we can see your
Okay,
screen.
okay, thank you so much. Okay, so welcome everyone, and again, thank you for taking out time to attend my session. So as Faraz already mentioned that today I'm going to talk about Microsoft Fabric, and especially I want to show like why that one platform has got those infinite possibilities, infinite ways of doing different things that we have been doing in the data world from last few years. So before I just start, just a very quick introduction about myself. I know Faraz has already done it, but let's just quickly go through my introduction. So those who don't know me, my name is Pragati Jain, and few information about me, something that recently happened to me, which is the most amazing thing in my life. So I'm a new mother to a little boy. He turned 10 months old, basically, what, 4 days back? So yeah, something really happening great on my side, and that's why it's just hard to take out time to do all these conferences and technical user group sessions. But yes, still I love doing them. I'm passionate about them, so I just try to find out some time to do all these things. So that's the recent update from my side. And apart from that, I'm also a Microsoft Data Platform MVP, and I'm a super user at Microsoft Fabric community. So those who don't know, Microsoft Fabric community is an amazing platform where you can get to interact with so many technical people who are great at what they do. They are so skilled. So it's basically a forum where you can go and ask questions around Microsoft Fabric, and then there are community members who just come together and help you resolve your question and give you proper answers, basically. And it's more like I have been doing that from last few years. So for me, I have gained a lot from that community, so I really feel proud that what I've been doing in last few years. So yeah, that's the Fabric community, and I would definitely tell you, if you really want to learn about Microsoft Fabric or whether it is Power BI, definitely go and join the community, because I have learned so much from that community, and I still keep on learning. Apart from that, I've got more than a decade of experience in the data industry now, and currently I'm working as an analytics manager at Avanade in London. And on contrary to that, this session today I'm giving from India, from my place. So I just came with my little one to spend some time in India. So I'm actually quite happy to deliver this session from India, from my home country. Apart from that, I'm also an organizer at Data Weekender conference. So Data Weekender is a free virtual data platform conference that happens once in every year. So yeah, if you really want to, learn a lot on the data side, whether it is SQL, whether it is Fabric, it's Power BI, then we get amazing speakers every year, and it's a free conference. You can just attend from your place. You really don't need to come at a physical place to attend the conference, and it's just amazing. It's a single day conference. We run it like for 8 hours, and you have parallel tracks where you have got a lot of content to talk about. So if you're interested, definitely come and attend this conference. We are going to announce soon for the next year, so keep an eye on our LinkedIn or Twitter post. And apart from that, I also manage Microsoft Fabric UK user groups. It is a local user group that I run virtually alongside Leon Gordon in London. And if any of you are interested in speaking, or you want to learn something, definitely come and join our user group, and come and attend the session. And apart from that, why not you? Okay. One fun fact about me is I like to paint, so I just like to call myself a techie artist. So that's a quick introduction about me, but let's now jump to what we're going to talk about today. So today's agenda is very simple. I'm going to very quickly give an introduction around what Microsoft Fabric platform is and what kind of architecture it has got. Then we will move on to how people coming from different backgrounds, or different personas, can actually leverage what Microsoft Fabric capabilities are. So basically, I would say like Microsoft Fabric has got everything. I mean, something for everyone, basically. If you're a data engineer or data scientist or analyst, you can still do a lot of things using Microsoft Fabric. So we'll look into that, how you can do that. And then in the end, I will also show you a quick tour around Microsoft Fabric platform, keeping in mind those different backgrounds, skill sets, or personas. Another thing is like my slides are very limited because I just don't like to go through the PowerPoint slides. So I'll quickly go through the slides, but mainly we'll focus on seeing certain things in Microsoft Fabric environment that I've built, and I'll also show you like how quickly using different capabilities you can build an end-to-end solution. So I'll not be creating the demos in front of you, but I'll be focusing more on showing you the demos that I've already created. just to showcase like what this is really capable of. So before I move forward, just a question. I'm not sure how many people have joined the event, but I would like to understand how many of you come from a Power BI background. You can type in the chat if that's possible. Bring back. Okay. Yeah. So how do I access the chat? So, I mean, if you can just type, if you have been using Power BI, do you come from Power BI background? Or have you used Microsoft Fabric before? Have you heard about it? So it will just give me an idea, like, how to what level already you guys know, or if you don't know, then I can just go at a beginner level and showcase you everything. So if you can just type in the chat, that would be really great. I'll
I'm
give you a
beginner,
minute,
Pragati. I would
basically.
say with Power BI, I'm a beginner. In
Okay.
front of you, I'm beginner, always.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay. And what about others? I mean, I can see a few more
Yeah.
attendees in there. If you can just type in chat. Okay, new to me. Okay, so Power BI is new to you. Okay, okay, let's get answers for how many of you are new to Power BI. Ishan is entering in this field. Okay.
Awesome.
Okay,
Yeah, we
what
got
about
some
other?
comment on
Yeah,
YouTube.
what?
Yes.
Yeah, what about? Yeah, if we can get something on YouTube, just let me know because it just gives me an idea. Okay, Ahmad is new to, okay, it's new to you as well. Yeah.
Okay, Damu is using it.
Okay, using it now. I know Power BI, but do not have any experience. Okay, okay, that's fine. And okay, if we go to the next question, how many have you have used Microsoft Fabric?
Okay.
Damu, okay, completely new. Okay, okay. Okay, I'll just wait for a few more answers and then I just flip my screen. But yeah, I would like to know how many of you are using Fabric or if you're new to Fabric. If you can just type in using Fabric or new to Fabric, then that will give me an understanding. New to- Mhm. Let's get a few more comments in there. So
Just type in using Fabric or new to Fabric, then that will give me an understanding.
okay. Okay, I mean, if I see from the comments, it looks like many people are new to Power BI as well. I mean, they have one or two have started using it, but not have much experience. And for Fabric, most of you look like new to Fabric. Okay, okay, that gives me an idea. So I'll just minimize the screen. Why does this? Okay, okay, so let's start with Microsoft Fabric first. What Microsoft Fabric is. So when someone asks me what Microsoft Fabric is, for me, the quickest answer is like Microsoft Fabric is basically a unified analytic solution that gives you a capability to create an end-to-end solution. And when I say end-to-end solution, it's basically an end-to-end scenario from data ingestion to data transformation to landing your data in certain format and then creating insights using that data. So that's our end-to-end solution for me. And that's everything you can do in Microsoft Fabric. Because I'm not sure how much experience people have been working in this audience, but yeah, if you have been working in the industry for a few years, you would understand that how difficult it is to bring things together, especially when you're working for a client to create a solution which is end-to-end. In most of the scenarios, like I have worked with clients, like in last few years, have been like the data has been residing somewhere else. I bring that data, I do something with the data, transform it, store it at a second place. And from that second place, I access that data to Power BI to create insights and stories for them. That's how I have been doing things before. But since Microsoft Fabric has come, it has actually streamlined my processes because I can do everything in the single environment. I really don't have to keep things like at multiple places and start connecting to, like, say, multiple sources and then doing analytics on it. So this is basically a very simple diagram I tried to create using for Microsoft Fabric platform. So if you can, I know there could be some terms not everyone is familiar of, and trust me, this was me 2 years back. But I have been working with few clients using Microsoft Fabric, so now I understand in and out of it. But if you are new to it, it's okay. If you don't understand every term on this diagram, it's okay. But I hope people understand Power BI, right? Because there are people who have been using Power BI, are new to Power BI, have started creating their experience using Power BI. So how I would define Microsoft Fabric is consider Microsoft Fabric as a place which has got like a single storage layer, which is basically termed as OneLake. I hope people can see my big pink arrow, which kind of, points to the things. So it actually has got a single storage. And on top of it, we have got different kind of workloads. So when I say workloads, basically these are different kind of capabilities that Microsoft Fabric provides. So if I go from left to right, I can see a few terms like data factory, then data engineering, data warehouse, data science, real-time intelligence. Then we have our own Power BI, databases and industry solutions. Okay, you really don't have to understand everything. Trust me. If you just know Power BI, you can start using Microsoft Fabric. But what about the workloads that are on the left, like data factory or data engineering or data warehouse or data science? So these workloads are more there for, to help you basically bring your data into Microsoft Fabric environment, basically data ingestion and data transformation, and land that data into a single storage place. So consider OneLake as a one drive space where everyone from your team can actually access the data and use it for their further analysis. So consider you work in an analytics team where, say, there are two data engineers, you have got two data scientists, then you have got three Power BI developers. Just consider that. And once you bring your data into this OneLake, then your data engineers or your data scientists or your analysts can actually access that same data. So what Microsoft Fabric is giving you, it is actually giving you visibility of everything, what's really happening at every stage of your process or your end-to-end solution. Because sometimes what I have felt with working with some of my teams for certain clients is like being a Power BI developer, I was not, you know, like being aware of what's really happening before I get access to data. So when I say what's really happening before getting access to data is basically what data engineers are doing basically to ingest the data, how they are transforming the data, in what shape they are bringing in the data, and on what basis they are writing those, doing those transformations, whether it is coming from business logic or, there are certain people who really wanted to get it transformed in that way so that I can use it for further analysis in Power BI. But the good thing about Fabric is if your data engineer is trying to ingest your data from a data source, then that data is going to land in that one lake. If they do any transformation, again, that will land into that single storage place, which is OneLake. And as a Power BI developer, if you want to access that data, you are going to access the same data from the same single storage. So you have visibility what's really happening at different stage from data ingestion to transformation to getting it stored on OneLake for you to further analyze it. That's what I love about Microsoft Fabric because it kind of facilitates more collaboration between the teams as well. Because in the earlier days, sometimes it was tougher to work in collaboration with my data engineers or data scientists. But now I can access the same data and in parallel, I can do the analysis and work with them how really I want to transform my data or shape that data for further analysis. So this Microsoft Fabric platform is therefore called a unified analytics solution because it gives or unifies your team so that you can work in collaboration and brings your data together to a single storage place, which is their OneLake. And on top of that, Microsoft Fabric is also powered by, different security and governance principle. You have got Copilot on top of it, which is basically your AI. And yeah, and there are so many things apart from that. I'm not going to talk about that because we are going to be seeing more basic level of Fabric today. So this is basically, how Microsoft Fabric platform is laid out and how, we can work together to bring things uh, in unification. And if this is not making sense, it's absolutely fine. Once I show you the Microsoft Fabric environment, I am 100% sure you will understand what we have been talking about on this slide. So Faraz, if there are any questions in the chat, just stop me in between. I'm happy to take the questions in between of the sessions because I want to make sure everyone in the audience is following me what I'm really showing. Because if there is any question and yeah, then yeah, just basically let me know if there are any questions.
Sure, Pragati.
Okay, so this was basically more around what Microsoft Fabric is about and what it can really help you do when you're working with different teams or you're trying to create an end-to-end solution and you want everything in a single environment. Now, in Fabric, Microsoft Fabric, like on the previous slide, I termed these things as workloads. These are called workloads because this is what keeps you, helps you with all the workings and processings. So we are going to see a few workloads today, and using them, I'm going to show you how I created end-to-end solutions in Microsoft Fabric. And as from the audience, I see people come from Power BI background, I would like to keep it very simple. Like if you're coming as a Power BI developer, how you can get started using Microsoft Fabric. So that's what I'll be focusing on based on the responses from the audience. So in Microsoft Fabric, I'll be showing you this very quickly. We'll go through these slides quickly, okay? So in Microsoft Fabric, once we log in, then these are the different kind of workloads that we had on the slide, which you see in the environment as well. So I'm just quickly skipping the slide here. Then one of the workload that I was talking about was Data Factory workload. And what Data Factory workload is about, basically, Data Factory workload helps you to get your data ingested in Microsoft Fabric, helps you with transformation or orchestration of your different scenarios while moving your data in a process. So that's what Data Factory helps you do. So for example, if you want to get data from your Excel files into Microsoft Fabric, then you can go to Data Factory workload and select different kinds of processes. Like, for example, people who come from Power BI background, they know what data flows are. Data flows are basically help you with ingesting your data, which is basically a Power BI, Power Query view, which helps you ingest and transform your data, and then you can use it in Power BI to generate your stories or reports, right? So that's what Data Factory workload helps you. It has got one of the capability like data flow, Gen 2. So Power BI people, the data flows that as Power BI developers we have been using, they are now termed as data flow Gen 1 because Microsoft Fabric has got, I would say, a new version of data flows, which is data flow Gen 2. And it is more better when compared to data flow Gen 1. And there are certain things in which it is better in, like, for example, it is better with processing, it is better with handling big data because it has got some capability like fast copy, which really helps you process, like, say, a billion rows of data. Like, I'll show you an example where I'm actually processing 1 billion rows of data using Dataflow Gen 2. And just imagine, have you ever thought of doing that in Dataflow Gen 1? I was never able to do that. My Dataflow Gen 1 just crashed. So that's why Microsoft Fabric is really, on top of its space because it has really got amazing capabilities. And within the same data factory workload, you can create data pipelines to ingest your data as well. And if you're coming from data engineering background, you have got notebooks, you can write your sparkly, shiny code there to ingest and transform your data and write it to OneLake or, a storage area there. And you can, if you know Python, PySpark, Spark or Scala, or even if you know SQL, you can write your code in notebook using Spark SQL. If you know Spark, you can write code in PySpark. And yeah, it has just got, so many skilled, I would say, varieties there. So if you come from any background, you can still do things in Microsoft Fabric. I'll show you a few things I tried doing, which I am not experienced in, but it was very easy for me to do. So this was about data factory workload, that it helps you in data ingestion and transformation. Then the next workload is Power BI workload. Of course, I'll be talking about it because I love Power BI. So Power BI workload is now part of Microsoft Fabric. And again, I can do the similar things that I'm used to doing with Power BI. I can create my Power BI reports. I can create paginated reports. The new thing is I can actually do data exploration. So just consider, as an analyst, if you want to explore data before creating any reports for your stakeholders, then this is some additional capability that Microsoft Fabric gives. As I showed you in the first slide, as in the architecture slide, as a Power BI developer, you're allowed to, not allowed, I should say, you have access to the OneLake storage where everything is stored, whether it is a transform data or raw data. So you can actually access it directly to explore it, like, okay, what's really happening with the data? Like you do in Excel, you sometimes get the raw data, you start doing some kind of anomaly detection, or you start generating some charts there just to understand some kind of behavior on your data, right? You can do the similar thing with an exploration capability in Power BI workload to understand your data before you write your insights or generate your insights or stories. And then there is also a capability of organizational app. So again, if you're coming from Power BI background, we have a capability in Power BI of creating apps, and apps are basically capable of apps basically allows you to basically distribute your work from different audiences. Similarly, organizational apps do the similar thing, but the benefit of having organizational app is you can actually have multiple organizational app within a workspace. Again, these terms will make sense to people who are working with Power BI. So let's not dig into that, but I will show you what they can do. So those are the different things you can do with the Power BI workload. And it is still same, but it has got more capabilities for you within Fabric environment. And now let's start with, I mean, obviously we have seen what Microsoft Fabric architecture is, and then everyone must be saying, okay, you have told us, Pragati, what these workloads are, but how do I get started? The simplest thing what you can do is you can sign up for a 60-day trial license with Microsoft Fabric. And trust me, 60 days are enough for you to explore Microsoft Fabric. Trust me, that's what I have done and I've been doing. So if you really want to get started, you can sign up with 60-day trial license. And I'll be, excuse me. And I'll be sharing this PowerPoint deck with Faraz, and I'm sure he can keep it on the Meetup site, or I'll just share it on my GitHub on LinkedIn, so you guys can pick it up from there. So sign up for this Microsoft Fabric 60-day trial. There are certain Microsoft Learn parts around Microsoft Fabric, which can really get you started. And trust me, they are really good. They are really good. If you really want to get started with, go to Microsoft Learn parts and start. There is Microsoft Fabric documentation as well. That's been given by Microsoft, which is amazing on its own. So you can refer that as well. Now, I think I should switch to Microsoft Fabric environment. Now, obviously, now you have, if you start your 60-day trial, then how you really get everything enabled in Power BI or your Fabric environment. Okay, so people who work with Fabric, with Power BI, they know like this is what app.powerbi.com is. Okay, so you are used to working what service environment for Power BI is. I mean, service, if you don't know, then service environment is just basically the cloud environment where you can actually publish your reports from Power BI desktop to Power BI service. So you can share it with your stakeholders or your team just to, have access to what's really happening on that report. That's what that cloud environment does. And once you have got trial, then you actually start seeing this kind of countdown once you sign up for a 60-day trial. So mine only 49 days are remaining. But once you sign up for 60-day trial, it doesn't enable Microsoft Fabric in your environment. For that, you'll have to do something, which is something I'm going to show you. In the settings, if you go to admin portal, and let me know if the screen is visible. If it is not visible, please type in chat. I can make it a little bigger. Once you go to the admin portal.
Perfect. It's perfect, Pragati.
Okay, thank you. So once you sign up for the 60-day Fabric trial, you need to enable it here so you can start using the capability of Microsoft Fabric. So it says users can create Fabric items. If you don't enable it, so basically, if you don't enable it, you are literally not making the use of trial. So your trial actually doesn't start if you don't enable this capability. So this is really important for you. Then only you'll be able to start seeing the Fabric workloads in your environment. If you don't enable this, you won't see that. So make sure you do this. So once you do this, you will start seeing Fabric items. And I'll show you how you'll start seeing Fabric items. Currently on this left bottom, you see Power BI. If I click on this, once you have enabled this and start a trial, if you click on this, you start seeing something called Fabric. And if I click on this Fabric, it takes me to a new page or a new window where it says, welcome to Fabric. I can see few things in there going on, learn about Fabric. You have got all the documentation in there, how you can get started. And obviously, I've got few things in there. So it shows my recent activity there. But for you, this will be empty if you're doing it for the very first time. So this is the indication how whether you have enabled your Fabric license properly or not. And once you do that, you start seeing this. Now, let me switch back to my slides. So this is how you need to enable your trial. If not, then yeah, this is not going to work. So yeah, this is how you sign up. Then under admin portal, make sure to enable. Okay. Now, when, like I said earlier, like people actually started asking this question some time back when fabric just came into picture, and it was available for public to try out. Many people, and even within my team, my Power BI developers, they started asking like what Microsoft Fabric has got for me. And the simple answer what I told them was Microsoft Fabric has got something for everyone, irrespective of what skill set they have got or what background they come from. So what simply I say is like, if you're a data engineer or a data scientist or say data modeler or you're a report designer or a data analyst, Microsoft Fabric has got something for you. And this is quickly, we are going to see, what you all can do. So now we'll have a quick tour to Microsoft Fabric. This is the last slide I'll be doing. So yeah. So let's just go to Microsoft Fabric and see. So I've already shown you like you can toggle on to Power BI and Fabric here. If I want to go to my Power BI experience again, I can come here and say if I want to use Fabric capabilities, I can go to Fabric capabilities here and then it shows me a new screen. And this is how I get it. And I have got few learning resources there, like building few things in there, and I can start doing that. But before doing anything, again, if you come from a Power BI background, if you do anything in Power BI service, you need to create an area where you will be putting your reports, right? And that is basically called workspace. So again, the same concept applies here. If you want to do anything with Fabric, the first thing you do is you create a new workspace. Now, obviously, I'm not creating a new workspace here because I know most of you already know it. And definitely, I'm not spending time in doing that here. You just click on this, create a workspace, and then you'll start seeing some workspaces created. Like, for example, if I create a workspace, a new workspace will create like this. But I've got some items in there, you'll end up having empty. So you can create a workspace, and whenever you create a workspace, make sure you are actually assigning your Fabric trial to your workspace. Let it load. So if I go to the license information here, I can see I have assigned a trial license to my workspace. So if I go down, yeah, not there. I think it was there, right? It's under license information that this is what I have assigned. So make sure you do that, because sometimes what happened, like if you see, I've got a premium per user license on my account. So when I create a workspace, I get an option to assign a PPU or a premium per user thing as well. But I really don't want to do that. I want to use Fabric capabilities on this workspace. So I have to make sure I assign a Fabric trial. So for example, if I edit there, so whenever I create a workspace, I get all these options: Pro, premium per user. I don't have capacity, so I don't get, but I've got a Fabric trial. So that's why I've assigned trial, because I want to use Fabric capabilities within this workspace. Okay. So once you do that, Fabric enabled workspace is created, and the icon for this is this Microsoft Fabric Trial Workspace. It's, yeah, I don't know what to call this icon, but yeah, this is the icon you get when a Microsoft Fabric Trial enabled workspace is created. And when you create that, if you click on the new item, you can actually start seeing some kind of different things or new terminologies there. Like for example, for getting data, for ingesting data, you can use copy job, pipeline, data flow Gen 1. This is the old Power BI data flows that we are used to using, and data flow Gen 2, which is the new Microsoft Fabric, capability enabled data flow. Then you have got event stream, mirrored, and there are so many things. And obviously, I can't talk about everything like in this one. Okay, so what I'm really going to show you today is like how easily you can actually ingest your data, store that data into Fabric environment, which is the OneLake, and from there you can connect and use your Power BI, create your Power BI reports. So again, definitely, I'm not creating the demos because it will take me a lot of time, but I will show you what I've done. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to start with very simple thing. Like most of you come from a Power BI background, so you understand data flows. Or if you haven't used data flows, I would say you must have used the Power Query Editor in Power BI Desktop. If you have used that, you will follow me along. So the simplest thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a data flow I created within my Fabric environment to ingest data. And data flows are basically just the online Power Query Editor experience. So if you just work with Power BI Desktop, you know Power Query Editor, and the online version of that Power Query Editor is basically known as data flows. And what I did was I ended up creating a data flow Gen 2 because obviously I am using Microsoft Fabric. So I want to see what data flow Gen 2 is capable of, right? Or whether it's just a fluke, or is it really true that data flow Gen 2 are better than Gen 1, right? So that's why I wanted to use data flow Gen 1. So what I did was I literally went into new item. I created data flow Gen 2 using this because I want to get my data, right? And if you don't find it, you can search it here as well. Okay. So that's the search capability it has got. So that's again something I like, that they've just made it so easy and so adaptable. You can adapt to it very easily. So I clicked on it and then I created a new data flow. And this is what the data flow I created. So let it just open. I'll give it a few seconds. Okay. So for this session, what I thought was, okay, is there something in the chat? Could you please hire your voice? I think my voice level should be enough. Um, is everyone having issues with it?
No, we can hear it loud and clear. Very,
So I don't know if I think it was Faisal, right?
yeah, yeah.
Faisal, can you increase your machine volume, please? Let me know if that sorts your problem. Okay, so in the meantime, let's go through this. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Just let me know, Faisal. Otherwise, I'll put my volume up. For I just want to make sure not everyone is like listening me too louder. So so let me know how it goes. Okay. So for the simplicity of the session, what I really wanted to do was I want to take the simplest data source to get data using Dataflow Gen 2 into my Microsoft Fabric environment. And the simplest data source that we all work with is like CSV file or an Excel file, right? I'm sure everyone will agree to that. So what I did was I had like one Excel file, which was stored on my machine. And what I did was I actually got that Excel file and got the data in this Power Query Editor. So, I mean, obviously you can go and bring in the data here, you can create connections. And if I go there, it has got so many different connectors. I think it has got somewhere around 118 plus connectors, and you can just go and see. You can just scroll down and down. There's so many things. You can connect to different database, you can connect to different types of files, then different kinds of database as well, like SQL Server, Oracle, then Sybase. You've got Snowflake, people are using these days, MySQL, Teradata. You've got so much in there. Then you've got Azure as well there. So you can connect to so many different web API. You can connect to different kind of data sources and bring your data in. But for this session, I chose the simplest one, which is my Excel workbook. And in my Excel workbook, I just had 4 tabs for 4 different, data sections, and I just got them as 4 queries here. So if I just show you the data source setting here, and this is simple to, what you. So yeah, I've got this data in my OneDrive, but you can directly upload as well. If it's on your local file, you can upload that data to your local file as well, and you can get that um, Excel file here. And then I had, as I said, I had 4 sheets in that Excel file. So one by one, I loaded all 4 of them. So for example, I got the payment type, and then in the end, with few transformations, I got it in this way. Similarly, I've got trip type in there, then vendor ID, and then rate code. So basically, the data what I have got here is the Fabric yellow taxi data. Sorry, New York yellow what Fabric. Sorry, that's my workspace name. New York yellow taxi data. And this data set has been popular from so many years. I mean, I've been seeing it everywhere. Um, and this is basically a New York taxi data. You get details around the trips the New York taxis have done, and what kind of fare system they have, what kind of payments type they have got, how many passengers they have taken in and out in those trips. So you get and it's a pretty big data. Trust me, it's a 1.5 billion rows worth of data. Um, that's what I've got in here. Now, it's very easy to get that data into Dataflow Gen 2, but one big difference in Dataflow Gen 2 when compared to Dataflow Gen 1 is whenever you get a data or whenever you get a table written here, you need to give it a destination. And this is something which is new in Dataflow Gen 2. If you have worked with previous Power BI data flows, which are Dataflow Gen 2, you never have to give a data destination. It was written to you by default, and you just done your queries here and you used to publish or save your data flow. That's what you used to do earlier. But now here in Microsoft Fabric, it kind of allows you or gives you a capability to write it to a certain destination. And when I say destination, there are different kind of destinations you can write your data to. It could be a lake house. It could be a warehouse. It could be I think, Custo query database as well. Then there's an event house as well. And I think there's a Azure SQL database as well, if I'm not wrong. So there are 4 different kinds of databases you can write it to. And that's what Microsoft Fabric provides. And again, it is based on your capability. If you are a warehouse developer, you can actually land your data to a data warehouse, right? If you're working with real-time streaming data, you can write your data to Event House. So that's how you can select what you really want to write your data to. I simply chose Lakehouse because I will not say I was a data warehouse developer before I entered the Power BI world, or I was a data engineer before I entered the Power BI environment. I was more like, yeah, okay, I was doing a bit of things of both. So I was like, okay, write it to Lakehouse. And what is Lakehouse? Again, I would say, if you don't know the term Lakehouse, you haven't heard it, don't worry about it. Just consider Lakehouse as a storage place for your data. That's it. It will write your data in the form of different tables, and you can access this directly in Power BI to do all your kind of, data modeling, or you can create reports on top of it. So just consider it that way. So what I did was I ended up writing all my 4 tables to a Lakehouse. And what I did before creating the Dataflow Gen 2, I actually created a Lakehouse in my workspace. So similarly, I ended up writing these 4 different files there. And then I just published my data flow, and it went through and it wrote those 4 tables into my Lakehouse. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to close this data flow for now because it was just for data ingestion and basic data transformation. And yeah, what I missed telling you was before creating this data flow Gen 2, I actually created a Lakehouse because I had to create a storage place before I ingest and transform my data, because I need to have a storage place to land my data in, right? Because in Dataflow Gen 2, it asked me a data destination. So before doing that, I need to have that data destination. So if I click on this lake house, it actually asked me to create a new lake house. I can give a name. I ended up giving a name, New York Taxi Lake House. And once you do that, it creates a lake house there. And let me tell you one more thing. Whenever you create a lake house, it ends up creating 2 more things in there. So this is basically, let me also, lake house. Okay. So whenever you create a lake house, it ends up creating 2 more things for you. One is semantic model default, and one is SQL analytics endpoint. Now, what is the use of these 2? Now, basically what happens is when your tables get written into your lake house, what Fabric is doing, it kind of tries to create a semantic model on its own. So you have all your tables and it has got that model in there. You can always modify it, or you can create a new semantic model on top of it. Then the other thing, SQL analytics endpoint. Excuse me, what this allows you to do is it actually allows you to analyze your data using, say, SQL queries. Or, yeah, you can write SQL queries and actually analyze your data, which I'll show you quickly. So that's the importance of those two different items that get created once you create Lakehouse. So let's go to Lakehouse. And once I go to the Lakehouse, I mean, obviously you can see so many tables in there, but you can see the tables that I had in my Dataflow Gen 2. Payment type, rate code, trip type, and vendor. These were the 4 tables I had there. And once I click on them, I can clearly see a pretty good, nice view of the tables. I can see the 2 columns in there, and I can see the whole structure. I can see even the data type of the columns here as well. So I can see that kind of table view, okay, what this kind of data is, and then I can just, get that kind of preview of the data and number of rows, etc. But let's go back here and let's go to the SQL Analytics endpoint. If I go to the SQL Analytics endpoint, again, it shows me a very similar view. I'll start seeing my tables in there. Like, let me expand this here. Yeah. So here you can see, I can see my table in there, like I've got trip type, then I've got rate code, I've got payment type. Now here what I can do is I can actually say, write a SQL query to analyze my data. Like for example, I had few queries written, like say, I wanted to get count of rows from my, say, this blah, blah, blah table. I can just run that and, I can just understand what is here. Oh, sorry, I just selected. So I can just see, okay, there is one table in my Lakehouse written, which has actually got nearly 1.6 billion rows of data. And see, that's what, I mean, doing things just in Power BI, this was not possible. I never got to get 1.6 billion of rows of worth of data in Power BI, but in Fabric, I can actually do that. I can write a table there and I can access this table using Power BI to do all kinds of analysis I want to do. So I can create all the queries. I can, just analyze my data here by, just writing simple SQL queries. And again, if you don't know how to write SQL queries, it's absolutely fine, guys. I mean, you can Google things, you can start learning things, but the motivation or I would say, or the reason why I'm showing you this is like what Microsoft Fabric has given you. It has given you so much control and so much access on in so many ways you can access data, in so many ways you can analyze data. And similarly, what I also did was, let me tell you, let me just remove this filter. So we saw Dataflow Gen 2 for ingesting that very simple Excel file. Similarly, what I did, I created another data flow. I think this is the I created another data flow to actually ingest 1.5 billion rows of data. So the table which I just showed you, it had 1.6 billion rows of data. This was something I did using Dataflow Gen 2. And this was not possible using Dataflow Gen 1. But Dataflow Gen 2 gave me that capability to load 1.6 billion worth rows of data and process it. Obviously, I haven't added any transformation here, but at least it has just got it through. I ingested it and it just wrote it as a table because there is a capability in Dataflow Gen 2, which is called fast copy. And it kind of, just gives you that capability to work with big data. And this is how I wrote this data into that Lakehouse. So this is another thing why I like Microsoft Fabric, because it has just stepped up my skills in a way that earlier, which I was not able to do using data flows, I can do that. And data flows is just like a low code, no code capability. It's not something you have to write code or you need to know like a heavy coding to do things. Another thing which I forgot about showing you in Dataflow Gen 2 is the flow diagram or the diagram view. It kind of shows you what kind of merges or transformations you have done with your queries. Like currently in this, I haven't done much, so I don't see anything. But if you do any merges, it will show you that kind of lines, and it will show you what 2 tables are merged to create another table. So it shows you all those merges and joins as well. So I like that as well, because again, I love Power BI, I like the visuals. So I just love any way I get those diagram views or visual views to see the data or see what I'm doing. So this is the simple way of getting data flows, getting your data in the Microsoft Fabric environment. And obviously, I chose Lakehouse as a storage way for my tables, but you can use warehouses and others as well. But before this fast copy was launched, because this was not something that came with Microsoft with Microsoft Fabric on first day. This was something, it took few months for this to come out. But before that, what I tried was in the normal data flow Gen 2 without fast copy, I was trying to load that 1.5 billion rows of data and my data flow was just crashing. So I was like, how can I get that big data into my Microsoft Fabric environment or on my OneLake? Then something that clicked my mind was like few years back, I have actually worked as a Python developer for 2 years or so. And then I was like, why not I should try writing a notebook and see whether it will help me in getting my big data into my Lakehouse. So before doing this data flow, that fast copy data flow, what I did was I actually ended up writing a notebook. Let me show you that. And that notebook pretty much, I mean, it kind of ran pretty quickly. Um, yeah, New York taxi data load notebook. And this notebook was pretty quick. I mean, it kind of ran like in few minutes. And earlier, my data flow Jan 2 was just crashing. It kind of ran for 4 hours and then it crashed because it was not able to handle 1.6 billion rows of data. And then I was like, wow, this notebook just did the magic for me. And it's a very simple notebook. I mean, this is how you can, do things in Fabric. What I just did was I added a new item. I added a notebook basically. Because I was like, okay, I worked with this thing before. And if I didn't know Python, I have got experience with SQL. I could have written a notebook using SQL as well. And and I assume if you are coming from analytics background, SQL is something everyone must be knowing because it just helps you expand your skills, gives you a control on accessing or analyzing your data. So if you know SQL as well, you can create a notebook. So I ended up creating this notebook, and it's a very simple code. Most of the code I picked up from Microsoft's blog. So if you just search for how to load New York Yellow Taxi data, it will give you code. So the first two cells are something I just got from them, but from here I started writing my own code. And what I've been just doing it here is like I'm just trying to display the data, which I did, and then I started finding some anomalies there. I started counting my data. Okay, it has got this many rows. And then I started finding few things. Okay, there were some data discrepancies, which I tried to handle. Like, for example, I replaced few values in the payment type column because there were some issues with the data. So basically, this notebook just had, I mean, obviously, I didn't do this like in a minute. It took me a few minutes to do it. It can take you an hour to do it, but trust me, it will help you do things pretty fast because notebook are like they're powered up and backed up by Spark engine, and they are pretty fast in handling big data. So trust me, this will really save your time. And it's not just about writing the data and transforming the data. You can do analysis on the data as well, like counting the data. You can display the data, you can check, you can create groupings and see how the data patterns are. Even this allows you to create charts as well. You can see different views in the notebooks as well. So it has got so many different things that you can do within the notebook. It's not just about writing code. So I just transform my data to a little bit and write it to my lake house as a New York taxi data yellow table. And that's what I was showing you in the lake house earlier. So notebook, what it kind of gave me a capability of handling big data when I didn't have that capability in Dataflow Gen 2. And I remember after a few months, fast copy capability within Dataflow Gen 2 was allowed. And then I was able to get this data using Dataflow Gen 2 as well. But still, I think Dataflow Gen 2, no, I think it was faster. Yeah, Dataflow Gen 2 was fast enough to handle this volume of data. So yeah, but yeah, again, I found another way of doing things when I didn't have that capability. So that's what Microsoft Fabric has given. I mean, I would have never written code, but when I felt a need of, I ended up doing same thing in the same environment. I really didn't have to go to a different environment to do things or go to a third party tool to do things because I had every capability within the same environment. So it was easy for me to do, because if there was something like, oh, I had to download a third party tool, or say I had to write the code somewhere else, connect that to Microsoft Fabric, and then write my data, then I would have not done that, because I would be like, oh, it's too much of hassle for me. But when everything was given to me in the same environment, I was able to do that pretty quickly, because I just hit new, I created a notebook, I started writing code, and things just went like that. I really didn't have to go through any hassle to enable this kind of capability. So that's why what this is what I like about Fabric. I mean, if I've stuck somewhere, there is something within Fabric environment I can use to, solve that issue. So that's how I started writing notebooks. And trust me, I've been using notebooks for some time now. I've got so many notebooks in my workspace now, you can see, because I just love using them. They just help me with so many things. And the main thing is they have helped me skill up with new technology, and something that I have not been doing for at least for past 6 years. I did this like 8 or 10 years back, and for last 6 years I was just working with Power BI, but Microsoft Fabric actually helped me gain something new. So if you are just working with Power BI, I don't think Microsoft Fabric hasn't got anything for you. It has got so many things you can skill up. If you come from a different background, ended up in Power BI, but still you can use, for example, if you were a data warehouse developer or database developer in earlier days, then you entered into Power BI, but you can still use Fabric, because you can use your SQL skill here to ingest and transform data. And again, once you have got your data in place, you can actually start writing the reports on top of it. You can just create a Power BI report, you can connect with it, and then it will just is it necessary to install a gateway when working with Dataflow Genoa? Um, Ildar, I haven't worked with GitHub yet, but if you are working with an on-premises database, for example, I got data from SQL Server database into, uh, you're talking about Dataflow Gen 1 or Gen 2? You wrote Gen 1. It doesn't matter whether it is Gen 1 or Gen 2. If you're trying to get on-premises data into this environment, you'll need a gateway. GitHub, I have not tried, so I don't know how it works and how you're trying to use GitHub connector. I'm not sure there's a GitHub connector or there's a GitHub connector for this thing already. But if you're trying to get data from an on-premises database like SQL Server, you need a gateway installed. So I don't know how you're pulling it from GitHub. So it will again be a question to Ildar, I guess. What are the advantages of using licenses below F64 tier? In which scenarios are these lower tier licenses applicable? Hmm. Okay, so one thing here is like if you really want to use all the capabilities fully fledged in Microsoft Fabric, then definitely F64 tier is something you need to use, which is actually equal to your Power BI Premium P1 capacity, which is the earlier Power BI licensing terms. But if you are using the lower tiers like I think F2 or F4, I don't remember the lower tiers, but if you're using something like that, then definitely you won't be able to do much with it, like especially with data volumes, I guess. And if you are looking for 1 second, if you are actually, let me not just say anything. Let me get you. Yeah. I think this fabric licensing, let me share you the link of fabric licensing. You can read about it there. But yeah, the lower licensing tiers could be challenging, especially if you're working with, big data. Let me just share that. Yeah, F2, F4, and F8 capacity are like, F16. Yeah, these could be something. I'll just put this in the chat. Fabric license. And oh. And yeah, in which scenarios are these lower tier licenses applicable? I would say, I'm not sure who asked the question. I mean, whoever asked it. Uh, I'm really, I think the tier licensing is completely dependent on the capabilities or how you really want to try and use Fabric for. So it's completely up to you what you're trying to do with the data. Oh, Ilgar asked this. Yeah, Ilgar. So yeah, this is completely dependent on what you're trying to do. And I've shared a link around the Fabric licensing. Just check that licensing capability thing and then see how you really want to do it. And then another thing, what I would really like to share is a Fabric license calculator that can actually help you to assess your organization's need. And um, yeah, I'm going to share this link with you. And this is something created by, I don't know if you guys know Data Witches. It's Shannon Lindsay and Stephanie. They are pretty famous people. And they have actually come up with this licensing calculator, and it's for Power BI and Fabric both. And this licensing calculator can actually help you assess what fabric capacity you really need for your organizational day-to-day work, like whether it is F2, F4, F8, F32, F64, F128, whatever it is. This will help you assess your requirements, and based on that, you can buy that fabric capacity. Hope Ilgar this helps, and yeah, let me know if there are more questions. So yeah, so I'll just go back to this. So yeah, once you have got your data, what you can do is you can actually start creating reports here. And what I did was, again, I went to new item, I created a Power BI report, and then I started creating a basically report. So I created a Power BI report and used it to create a report here. And this is what I ended up doing. And what you can also do is, one second. If I go to my, oh no, before Lakehouse, I should show you something. Sorry, guys, I missed one more stuff. I forgot to see my notes. So if I go back to my SQL endpoint, one thing what you see here is something called reporting at the top. If I go to the reporting, so when I go to my SQL endpoint, it kind of shows me my tables here, right? The view of my tables, I can see the preview of my tables. But something here at the top is called reporting. And if I go into that reporting, I can actually start seeing a default semantic model there. If I go to there, okay. Let me just change. Let me see. Okay, let's see. Yeah. This is yeah. One second. Give me a second. Am I missing something? Or did something change in a day? Hmm. One second. Let me do stop and try again. So go to my Lakehouse. This is my Lakehouse view. That's fine. I didn't go to my Lakehouse. I want to go to my SQL endpoint. Oh yeah, sorry, I missed this. So if you go to your SQL endpoint, you see your tables here, right? So if I go here, I see schemas, I see all my tables. But there's something called model layout. If you go into that model layout, what it shows is, it will show you all the tables that you have loaded in your, that you have written to your Lakehouse. So I can see all these tables here, right? I'll make this little smaller. So there are so many tables written, and obviously I have added some additional tables here, which you can see here. Now this is kind of a default semantic model, the model layout that Microsoft Fabric creates for you. And what you can do is, like, sometimes what happens is you end up writing so many tables, but in the end you think, oh, I just need 5 tables to create my semantic model. So the good thing about Microsoft Fabric is, from your Lakehouse SQL endpoint, you can actually go to the reporting and create a new semantic model. And in that new semantic model, what you can do is you can actually start selecting only the tables you need. So if I go down, say if I just need like say 4 tables, I will start selecting those say 4 tables and I'll create a model out of them. And it's very similar. I just do that. I give a name on the top to my semantic model, something, something, something. And then if I confirm, it will create a semantic model for me. I'm not doing that because I've already created a model. So what I'll do is I'll just go and open my model. And this is the semantic model I ended up creating. So I just selected like few tables. And let me make this little bigger for you guys. And what this model has got, it has just got like 5 tables. So it's so I've got a calendar table, I've got a vendor table, rate code table, payment table, and then I've got a New York taxi data yellow table. And you see, this is a perfect star schema. It's a one-to-many relationship going on here. And the good thing about this model is that came out like few months back is when you open a model, it's by default in a viewing mode. And if you want to edit it, you kind of go into editing mode and then you can start, say, editing the relationships or say you want to create new measures or anything. Let me take something. What is semantic model? Oh, semantic model is just the data model that you create uh, in Power BI. And it's basically on top of which you could start creating reports. So this is the so once you start creating the semantic model, the good thing about it is very similar to what you see in Power BI desktop. So you have got all your tables here. You can see the details around properties around different tables here. You can modify the relationships if you want. You can create measures on top of it. You can create new table. You can create calculation groups. You can create parameters, and now you can create roles as well if you want to say set up RLS into your semantic model. You can edit your tables as well. So those are the different things you can do here. I ended up creating measures. You can just click on new measure and create measures. I ended up creating so many different measures here. They are very simple measures that I created, not something very, fancy or, tough. They are very simple summation measures there, which I ended up creating. And this is what I wanted in my data in my semantic model, basically, to run some insights and reports on top of it. So I ended up creating measures there. Then the other good thing, what I like about semantic model environment is, okay, I have a question. If I use a data set, okay, guys, just give me 5 more minutes to wrap this up, and then we can take up the questions. So once you have got the semantic model, what you can do is on top of this, you can start creating reports. So if I go back to my workspace, good thing is everything what you open is pinned up on the left. So you can just toggle between them whenever you want. I can go back to my workspace here as well. So if I go to my semantic model and say, if I click on these 3 reports, on top of this, I can actually start creating a report. I can create a paginated report. If I want to auto create a report as well, which is powered by, say, AI under beneath it, that also works. I ended up creating a report from scratch, and obviously I'm not doing that now. So what I did was I ended up creating this very simple report, and it has not got much in there. 2 KPIs at the top, and it's not a very good looking report. It was just done to showcase that you can do this. You total trips, total passengers I've seen in the data. Then I've got a simple chart here showing trips by rate type. Then I've got a bar chart here showing trips made by different payment type, what kind of payment type people used to pay for the trips, and then some kind of insights at the bottom using a smart narrative visual. So that's a very simple report I've done. And if you want to edit it, you can edit it here. You click on edit and you can start editing the report as well. You can change the charts, you can add pages if you want. You can do lots of things. But only one thing what I would say here is, I mean, when you compare this report creation and editing to Power BI desktop, this has got less capabilities because obviously this is something it is evolving over time. So I'm sure one day this will be fully fledged and you might not need Power BI Desktop, but I won't say that loud because I still love Power BI Desktop doing things in there and it gives me all capabilities. But yeah, in future, it might give you that capability here as well. So you can create end-to-end solution in the cloud environment within Microsoft Fabric platform. So that's how you can quickly do things here and, you can do your end-to-end solution. I'm not going to save it. So guys, this was like very quick, view on how you can create an end-to-end solution in Microsoft Fabric environment, from data ingestion to data transformation to landing your data to Lakehouse as tables, then creating a semantic model using those tables, and using that semantic model further down to create reports. So this is what I really wanted to show today in my session, just to make sure people, because I think Microsoft Fabric has been a buzz there for last 2 years, and people have been talking about it, and they have so many questions what this is about. Is it really good for me? Will I be really able to use its capabilities? But hopefully, I'm just hoping this session gave you an idea that Microsoft Fabric has got something for you, and you can start using Microsoft Fabric from now. Few things that I would like to say before I take the questions is there are few resources you can go through. I talked about them earlier as well, like Fabric documentation, Learn Paths. There are MVPs who have been writing blogs and community leaders in the community. Then there are two certifications that you can do from Microsoft Fabric. One is DP600, which is Analytics Engineer certification, and DP 700, which is more on the data engineer side. So it is data engineer certification. So if you feel like you can crack those, you can prepare for the certification as well, which kind of gives you credibility that you're expert in Microsoft Fabric. And then there's a career hub page as well, which gives you more insights on different learning resources. And I'll be sharing this deck with Faraz, so you can put it on the meetup, and I'll share it on my GitHub as well, so people can pick it up from there. So yeah, that's what I really wanted to talk about Fabric, and hopefully you guys learned something from this session, and definitely reach out to me with any feedback you have for this session, because I love to get feedback on my session, whether it is negative and positive, and I love negative feedback if it is there, because it just helps me improve my future sessions. So definitely get back to me directly if you want. You can message me on LinkedIn or Twitter around the session, or if you have got any more questions in there. And Faraz, if you get any feedback, definitely let me know. Okay, let's go to the questions now. So I'll just bring up my screen here with the questions. I have a question. If I use a data set that lives on Lakehouse to create a Power BI report and then download the report to work with Power BI Desktop, then the data set on Lakehouse is on direct query mode. Okay, so what you're asking, are you asking that the Lakehouse is on that the storage mode is direct query mode? I think whoever asked this question needs to add few more things, because if I understand they can't edit measures and stuff, everything is locked. If I understand that question, it's more around that when you download a Power BI report that you've created in Microsoft Fabric, it is in direct query mode and it doesn't allow you to edit measures and stuff because it's in direct query mode. Okay, so this can happen because you have developed everything into Microsoft Fabric environment, and when you create a semantic model within Microsoft Fabric environment, it's actually into a direct lake mode, which is actually combination of direct query and the import mode that we have that we had earlier in Power BI Desktop. So this can happen, but I would like to know more details because I have worked around it. I was able to edit my measures while downloading a Power BI report and using it to change things. And I was able to save and publish it back. So I would like to understand more details around it, how you were trying to edit it. Because there are ways of doing it. If you were not able to do it in Power BI Desktop, you can do it using a third-party tool like Tabular Editor. It allows you to do that, but I was able to do in Power BI Desktop. So I would love to know more around this question, what's really happening in there. Thanks, Damu, for your feedback. Thank you so much. And then another question is, and if it is on direct query mode, then why should I use Lakehouse if I can use direct query directly to SQL database? Okay.
It's a continuation
You
of the same question.
you can use direct query mode directly connecting from your SQL database. That's absolutely fine. You really don't have to use a Lakehouse. The only reason why you would use a Lakehouse is, I mean, if you really want to get everything in a single place, as I said, like Microsoft Fabric gives you a unified capability of getting everything in a single platform. Because if I'm right, you are not a single person on a team working most of the times with the data. You might be in certain scenarios, but in most of the cases, you are not. You have got a whole bunch of people working with the similar data. So the whole point of using Microsoft Fabric is giving you a single analytical platform for every one of you to work in collaboration. If you really don't want to use Microsoft Fabric, it's perfectly fine. But again, when you have everything in a single platform, it just works like charm. You don't have those latencies issues. You don't have those other issues where, okay, data is not getting updated and all those things. When you have everything in single analytical platform, everything is so much streamlined because, data is here in the same environment. I'm creating my report and, connecting and doing my insights and generating stories. So that's the benefit of using Microsoft Fabric. I hope that answers the question. And let me know if there are more questions, guys. I'll stop sharing my screen and see if there are more questions.
I got a reply from YouTube. Thank you for the explanation. Uh, and just I'm checking. I'm also checking from my side. What are the questions are there? I'm just checking on
Mhm.
the YouTube and WhatsApp chat as well. Okay. There's a good question. I think you'll be definitely able to answer on the WhatsApp chat. This is difference between an Dataverse and Fabric. Dataverse is an old guy.
Dataverse and Fabric. If I'm correct, Dataverse is more like a. I haven't worked with Dataverse, but I've heard about it because I've seen people working with it. Dataverse is more like a data storage layer, right? Where you just land your data,
Yes.
right? But Microsoft Fabric is more like a complete analytical solution. It has a capability to store your data, but on top of that, you can do a lot of things with your data. In Dataverse, you can't do like data transformation or generate reports or create stories or analyze your data, like the capabilities I showed you, like writing notebooks or using SQL queries to analyze data. Dataverse is more like just your data storage place, if I'm correct. That's what I know about Dataverse. Yeah, Dataverse is not an analytical solution.
Great. I think we have.
Or go on.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Pragati, please.
Yeah, I think Dataverse might be using having different things as well, but unfortunately, I haven't worked with Dataverse, so I can't really answer that question, like why it is really different with Microsoft Fabric.
Okay, so Elgar is saying that one day everybody will switch to Fabric.
Okay, why he's saying that?
I don't know.
Okay,
And there's another question on YouTube that who is the competitor to the Fabric at the moment?
I don't know. I really don't know, guys. Who's the competitor to Microsoft Fabric?
Right now, we don't have anything like that, right? Pragati, even we see
I mean, for I mean, for most of my clients, it has been like because most of my clients have been like PowerBI premium capacity based clients, and we just showed them Fabric, and they are like, okay, they're ready to move to Fabric because Fabric gives them more control and more capability on many things because it's like a all-in-one solution for them. Um, I mean, like I have worked with crazy banking clients. They have got like data everywhere, everywhere. They've got data like 1,000 places. And we have to bring those things together is like a craziest thing I've done. So when we showed to one of our client and they were like, wow, Microsoft Fabric is going to choose this. I mean, solve things for us. And they were like quite excited, like, let's buy Fabric and get it rolling. So yeah, for me, Fabric has been game changer with many clients. And it's really one of the best thing I think I would say I've been working with. I enjoy working with it. And maybe guys, I just don't have that level of enough experience. I haven't worked with like a complete analytic platform before. So for me, Microsoft Fabric is like a complete game changer. I'm sure there must be something else around from years people might be working with, like whoever asked me, okay, who is the competitor of Microsoft Fabric? So maybe I just don't know, guys, because I've been working with Microsoft Fabric and it's just like amazing because it just helps me do so many things.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many things I didn't get chance to talk about. Like we could have dug more into like licensing. I could have shown you some of the governance capabilities that Fabric has. You really don't have to do anything. You have to just click and it shows you what's really consuming your capacity. So those kind of monitoring things are pretty cool in, Microsoft Fabric. I mean, where people actually use third-party tools to assess their platforms, but everything is kind of inbuilt in Microsoft Fabric. So governance is there, security is there, and then you can do all the kinds of, CI/CD stuff as well. You can connect to Azure DevOps, you can connect to your GitHub repository, and you can, just do that version controlling pretty easily. So there are so many other things as well you can do in Microsoft Fabric.
Great.
There are access controls at different levels, which I love. I mean, at different item level access is amazing feature. So you can only give access to people like to at a certain layer of Lakehouse. You really don't have to give them access to everything. Or some report developers will only have access to, say, semantic models. They won't have access to Lakehouse. So those kind of things are pretty great in Microsoft Fabric. You can control at every level because in our team, it happens, right? Sometimes there are only report consumers. They need to view reports. They really don't need to do anything. So within the same workspace, you can actually do that item level access. But obviously, the better ways of doing it are creating apps. But it's just an example I'm saying, but it has got pretty better control on items within the workspace.
I think Elgar has dropped it, the competitor of Fabric.
ClickSense.
Yeah.
Is ClickSense like a complete analytical platform? I would ask.
No, I haven't heard about it.
Yeah, because if I understand, ClickSense is more for I think it's more for data I mean, just reporting. I'm not sure. I might be. I might be wrong. I won't say anything as this is streamlined. But yeah, try out Microsoft Fabric. Let me know what you think about it. I mean, it's. I mean, I will just say that it has changed a lot many things for me, and even it has streamlined some of the solutions I've been building for clients. So that's why I love it, and that's why I love sharing about it. So let me know what you guys think about it. I mean, I'm happy to. As I said, I love negative feedback as well. So I'm happy to hear if you don't like Fabric, and then give me reasons why you don't like Fabric, because it could be something you can take to Microsoft and they might just improve it or bring that feature if something is missing. So, that's what these kind of discussions are important. It's just not about a speaker talking and people just listening and asking questions. It's more about an open discussion forum as well. Like whether you really like the platform, do you really love these features? If not, okay, then why you don't like it? There should be reason, right? Or if something is missing, let's talk about it. Maybe we can reach out to Microsoft and then, they might get those capabilities for us. So yeah, it's I just love to. That's why I talk about these things very openly.
Great. I think, Pragati, we are running out of time now. We need to end up the session, but it was
Mhm.
really lovely. And I would just ask my YouTube friends, just if how you like the session, just you have the heart icon over there. You can just put up an heart icon so we can come to know, the feedback for this meetup session. And before I end, Pragati, you know that really, I always ask my speaker to speak something a motivational quote or something, whatever they
Oh gosh.
talk about, anything. I know, Pragati, this is.
Oh gosh,
Yeah,
motivational
you
quote.
already knew about the Saudi Arabia meetup. So something, maybe a dialogue from a Shah Rukh Khan movie or something, that can really inspire.
Um, no, I will not say a dialogue
Awesome.
from Shah Rukh Khan's movie. I think one thing what I really believe in and what I have been doing in last few years, which has helped me, is like I keep on telling people, if I can do it, you can do it. Because I I go to many conferences and people say, okay, how you do this, how you learn all these things. And trust me, it's not easy to learn. Everyone's journey is different. But I mean, I'm just saying it in that sense that as a motivational thing, if you want to learn something, you can. Don't I mean, you are the person who is going to believe in yourself. And trust me, start believing in yourself and you can achieve whatever you want. So that's why I keep on saying, if I can do, anyone can do it. So just believe in yourself, go for it, and you will achieve whatever you want. It's not easy. Everyone's journey is hard. Everyone has gone through different hurdles to achieve what they are today, but one day you will get there.
Great, lovely. So I'm seeing a lot of hearts are coming on YouTube. Thank you so much, everyone on the YouTube, my friends. So
And I
that's
think,
all.
Faraz, we have got a last question. I
Yeah,
think Anas is asking, I'm
sure.
currently working as a Power BI data analyst and looking to upskill in Microsoft Fabric. Could you please suggest a good learning path? So Anas, the deck which I was showing, I have shared a resource slide in it, and I'll be sharing it just after the meetup with Faraz. I'll just email it to him. I'm sure Faraz, there's a way to put the deck on the meetup.
Yeah, sure, sure. I will arrange to put it up on the drive and I'll share it on the
Yeah. So so
LinkedIn only and this YouTube chat itself also. I'll try to share.
Yeah, and what I will also do is I'll share it on my GitHub link and post it on LinkedIn. So maybe in next 30 minutes you can wait for my LinkedIn post. I'll put it there. So you can take the deck from there and there's a resource slide and ask for where you can get the learning resources for Microsoft Fabric.
Perfect. So, Pragati, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. And my friends, it was really lovely to have Pragati. I know she had a really busy schedule. If you have not joined from the starting, mashallah, she is blessed with a baby and getting that time in this it's really valuable and very and thank you Pragati for removing that time and coming here and contributing, and I hope someday we see that little one also joining us in that meetup group.
Oh, yeah, if the little one joins, then he'll hear his noises. I won't be able to deliver the session. So for 60 minutes, you guys have to just listen to him.
So
But definitely, I can bring him sometimes just for a few
sure,
seconds in the starting. But
sure.
thank you for us for rearranging the time for the session. I really appreciate it because I'm in India currently and it was hard for me to stay up night. And thank you so much for,
I
preponing it
really
by 2 hours.
No, in fact, I would like to thank all the viewers, and all the participants who have joined on the Zoom, actually we call this meetup group, all the people who are there in this meetup group, we call them as a data artist. So,
Yeah.
so I really want to thank them, that this was a different time change and they all were available making sure for your presentation. This is really nice and I appreciate them.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for doing
And
this.
so we'll be signing out from YouTube now, and we'll be still stay back on Zoom. The party is still not over. Okay, and make sure that my friends that you subscribe to the channel and subscribe to our meetup group. If you have any questions, anything, feel free to drop, and I'll try to make sure that I try to best connect with Pragati, or I'll just mention her to reply on this same YouTube chat. So that's all for today, my friends, and see you next month. And make sure that you watch out the short video which I have just posted now. And I'll be seeing you soon in the next videos. Okay, take care and bye, and happy learning.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Thank you so much.
So, people on the Zoom, please stay back.
How many attendees?